everyone, and welcome to the Doom Tomb Podcast. My name is Chris. I am your host. Today, we have the band Worshipper, and it is just such a fun interview. They're based out of Boston, Massachusetts, and they finished out a tour in Tempe, Arizona. The band Hovenweep opened up. Check out for some great things coming from them. I know they got a release coming out soon. I'll put a link in the show notes. Also, Old Man Wizard was on the bill. Great set. We go over a whole bunch of stuff, whether it's Schoolhouse Rock. I think it's either Fry Daddy or Chow Daddy. I don't know. I'll put a link in the show notes if I can find it. Mr. Timer. Does anybody have any idea what that is? Well, I think you'll get a clearer vision or version of it from us. What the hell is a toilet paper mallet? And were there Spinal Tap moments, Star Trek, Pink Floyd? We just talked about so much stuff. You know what? Let's just get into it. This is the band Worshipper. We are outside of the Timeout Lounge in Tempe, Arizona, and I am with all of the members of the band Worshipper. Gentlemen, how are you?
How are you doing, man? Thanks for having us.
Hey, could we go around and could you just everybody introduce yourselves?
Bob Maloney, bass guitar.
Dave Jarvis, drums.
Alex Nekachea, guitar.
John Brookhouse, vocals and guitar.
Now, I know I heard your accent clearly.
Yep. It's bad.
So we're in. I'm not gonna make fun. Just saying.
You can. It's all right.
So, Boston.
Boston.
Okay. Now, how long have y'all known each other collectively?
Probably like 10 or 12 years. I think I've known you like Alex longer, but yeah, probably like 10 years at least.
Yeah, we've all four of us have kind of bummed around the Boston music scene probably for like 10, 15 years now. You know, Jarvis used to play in a band called Mellow Bravo. Bob used to play in a group called Colt 45.
Right.
And I was playing in a group called Township, and John had a group called Rule and the Dirty Truckers, and we always played gigs together. But you know, none of us really played in any heavy bands. Well,
right.
Maybe Bob did, but. You know, I think we all kind of decided that it would be cool to be in a real bona fide heavy band before we all turned 40. and
yeah,
that's
it
what
comes
this
up
was.
quick, doesn't it?
Oh, it really does.
Yeah, I'm on the other side of that, so yeah, I feel you.
Not us though. I mean, we're all 27.
No, I was going to
obviously.
say it's surprising to see so many young bands out here, especially gentlemen as young as yourselves. I was kind of surprised because I know you were at the bar, and I got to admit, I was surprised you weren't carded. I mean, maybe I'm talking out of school. I don't know, but I was really surprised.
It's the first time for everything.
Yeah, maybe it's because I guess we had the X's on us or something. It says we are allowed to drink beverages.
I guess so, yeah.
Libations, yeah, okay. All right, so get this. So I'm looking on social media, and I'm checking out Instagram. So I saw this picture of you all in a wagon. Or what was that, like a stagecoach or something?
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to be a stagecoach.
Right. Now, I saw one of you, I want to know who put the caption that, what was it? Was it a hanker for a hunk of cheese? That was you?
Yes, that was me.
Okay, so, and you're familiar with what that's from?
Yeah, Time for Timer.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, I had no idea that his name was Timer.
Yeah.
Now,
Attention people under 35, you're not going to understand any of this.
Now, have you ever made, okay, so we got the wagon wheel, right? Have you ever made sunshine on a stick?
That is orange juice in an ice cube tray.
Oh
with
my
toothpicks.
God.
And you put saran wrap over it.
You put the saran wrap over it so that the toothpicks can stand up properly.
That's the 70s for you.
Yeah. Now, okay, so while we're on this, have any of you heard of Schoolhouse Rock?
Of course.
Absolutely.
And did you have a favorite one?
I think I liked Magic Number. Is that one of them? Yeah, Three's the Magic Number.
I'm gonna go Conjunction Junction.
What's your function?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Elbow Room?
Elbow room, elbow room.
Got to give me some elbow room.
Oh, Bob.
There was I can't believe
I
there
don't
was so
remember
many-
that one.
I had a client that was a history teacher. She had never heard of it. She says, "Look, hey man, the '70s, I was having my kids grow up. I didn't see a lick of TV," and I showed it to her, and she's like, "Oh my God, this is such an incredible learning tool." And we have sang it over and over again. That a noun is a person, place, or thing.
That's right.
Da-da-da-da-da.
Yep.
Like a verb. One is verb.
Yes.
Nothing's happening.
Yeah, that's a piece, man. I love watching those. I think they're still fun.
So
And I got a bill.
Yeah,
gotta
a
say
bill on Capitol Hill, right?
the Bill one's good. So in Boston we had TV 38, but I grew up in Maine and we also had TV 38. So I kind of like have a commonality with people from Boston because I watched Boston TV growing up in Maine.
Right.
So we had all these PSAs growing up, like the Schoolhouse Rock, Time for Timer, and
What-
Robolar.
Robolar, yeah.
Robolar.
Did you get Fry Daddy?
Oh, I don't think I had that one.
Oh, do you remember Fry Daddy?
I don't know what is
So
it.
he was like a lion, and he was dressed in like a varsity jacket, and he talked about like eating good foods at school, and he did like a semi like break dance. You got to look it up. The guy's name is Fry Daddy.
Fry Daddy.
School lunch keeps me roaring ready and rock steady.
No, I used to see the ones.
Chow Daddy.
Ooh, Chow Daddy.
Chow Daddy.
Bob.
Wow. No, I gotta look at that one. I gotta check that one
Yeah,
out.
look it up. Chow Daddy.
No, I used to see because I saw, you see the one with the Indian crying. I seen that one. I saw the, I don't know what, they'd have like multiple things, and whatever it was, you send a self-addressed stamp envelope somewhere in Pueblo, Colorado.
You know, it was funny. On this tour, we drove through Pueblo, Colorado, and that's all I could think about was like those commercials where send a stamped envelope to Pueblo, Colorado. Like I feel like every catalog ever when I was a kid came from Pueblo, Colorado for some reason.
And yet, I have never heard of anyone that sent one. I don't know.
We drove through Pueblo, Colorado, and I don't think I saw anything there. I don't know if there's
Except for just self-addressed stamped envelopes.
just a giant pile of envelopes.
So also on social, I saw you guys going around with Great Electric Quest. Yep. Did you get a chance to hear the new stuff?
Yes, we did.
And what do you think?
It's awesome.
Isn't it killer?
Yeah, it's great.
Such a
Anubis is the jam. We played with them last summer. Like every night, I was like, "That's the song. That's the song." So I was waiting for them to come out with it so I could play it on my radio show on Give Me Radio, and I finally have been able to do that because it came out like a couple weeks ago. So, yeah.
Yeah, we're excited for those guys.
And you're on you're on TP, right?
They're on TV. They're on Totem Cat in France.
Yeah.
It can't. I tell you, it can't be a podcast unless I fuck up at least 5 times about something. It's either going to be about a lyric or a song where I'm like, hey, whatever. Anyway. So Great Electric Quest. So I saw also on social that somebody in the band was wearing the Anubis mask.
Oh, he was.
Oh, yeah.
That was you?
Oh yeah, that happened. I think that was, where was it? It was in Richmond, Virginia when we were on tour with them last year.
Right. Did it have the lovely PBR scent? Or?
Yeah, the interior scent. Yeah, that was custom made.
Yeah, absolutely it was. Yeah.
I managed to get a good amount of mojo out of that thing.
It does give you a certain amount of power.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Now, and I apologize. I hate going back, but I talked about a few podcasts ago where when I'm up front, taking a video or taking a pic or just, vibing out and banging my head, usually a band member will come over and grab my head. I don't know why. And I finally decided it's just the awesomeness. It's the power that they get, the energy from my head. And I can't quite describe it, but I'm just saying it's out there now, so
Gotcha.
it's my own damn fault when everybody starts grabbing my head now.
So we don't have to resist any longer. We know it's a thing we can do.
No, not at all. Tonight you're going to get an oil slick because it is fucking hot out here.
No, I mean we powwowed before the show. We're like, which one of us is going to grab his head?
It's a major thing.
Yeah.
Hands are full during the show, so
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I understand. Now, also, so speaking of, shame on anybody in this area in Maricopa County that didn't come here tonight because you guys missed out on one hell of a show. I got to tell you, man, you guys brought it. It sounded phenomenal, and to prove it did, anybody could check out Instagram where the people that were following live said, that sounds perfect. It sounds amazing. And also, somebody commented on the SG.
Oh yeah.
So is that your favorite guitar? Or
Not by a long shot.
what guitars? How many guitars? What do you got?
So when we started the band, I bought a 72 SG Deluxe, and it's like an amazing, cool. It's like the coolest guitar ever. It's got somebody put a third pickup in it, and has a Bigsby that's like blocked up. It's a very like vibey, cool guitar, but I broke the neck on it a couple times, and I can't bring it out on the road. So I bought a newer. That's a 2013 SG, and it just has a cool finish on it. It looks pretty neat.
Right.
But it's more like function. Like it plays well. It stays in tune. And all my guitars that are like valuable and nice, I keep at home. So.
Now, also
Gear nerd.
Gear nerd, yeah. Also,
Like the worst.
on IG, somebody was saying, "God damn, that's a ripping solo." And I was wondering, as far as you both the guitar players, do you collaborate on those? Do you come up with your separate parts? Do you come up separately, or do you just vibe off each other? What's the process like?
It's a little bit of vibing, but mostly we kind of work independently.
Right.
We usually kind of come up with a framework for the song, be it John will bring something or somebody will bring a riff or something. And
Right.
usually we just kind of like let each other, John will do his version of the riff, I'll do mine, and then we'll come together a year and a half later when we record the song and be like, oh, that's how it goes? Yeah, that's what you're doing there? And then we fix things up.
Then you fix it up. And I apologize while I'm looking at you and while you're talking, I can't help but notice you got a Star Wars shirt on.
Yeah.
So is there a better Star Wars or Star Trek?
Is there a better Star Wars or Star?
Well, I'm going to say, which would you prefer, Star
That's a
Wars or
tough
Star
one
Trek?
for me.
This was a question that was asked a while ago.
I am a self-described Trekker. I would probably go with Star Trek over Star Wars.
Original Star Trek or New Generation?
Both. Yep, I've
Both.
I've gone with both over the
Okay.
years. I've read all the books, all the biographies.
A favorite episode?
A favorite episode.
Trouble with
I was
Tribbles,
like,
or-
from the original series, I always like the Doomsday Machine
Mm-hmm.
when they come across the constellation when it's disabled in space, because it's like a different constellation star.
Right.
Was a starship, and I don't know why are we talking about Star Trek. This is
Why not? Well, here's the thing. Yeah, live long and prosper.
I tried really hard to keep this under wraps. I tried.
Well, look,
I try
went-
not to let people know that I watch a lot of.
we
Star Trek.
did Gear Nerd. We'll do a little sci-fi nerd.
When one of the first times we got together and played, got something out of Alex's trunk. He had like 5 like William Shatner autobiographies in his trunk. Wow. So he's definitely a Trekkie, for sure.
Yeah, and like John didn't say anything, but we both knew that they were there, and to break the awkwardness, I was like, yeah, I know there are a bunch of Shatner bikes there.
Now I've seen. I think if he didn't come around here, he's going to do like spoken word.
Oh yeah, a friend of mine went to go see him when he came and did that in Massachusetts, and said it was the greatest day of his life.
Did he go over? I mean, obviously, of course, Star Trek. But did he go over the rest of his career? Did he go over
I think
T.J.
so.
Hooker?
I think
and,
so. I think he spends most of his time with the Star Trek stuff. But I think he touches on like the T.J. Hooker and
what was that?
the Tech 9 or what was it?
The law show, Boston Legal.
Yeah,
I think.
Boston Legal,
Yeah,
that's right.
that was a good show. I like that. James
Was it?
Spader.
Talk about Rescue 911. He was on that too, right?
Yeah, with little Lieutenant Dangle. Yeah. I'm with you on that. So that's a great show.
Quality.
And now it's funny because like there's that show, The Goldbergs now, and it's one of those. I don't know the actress's name, but she's a totally different person, and it's just I can only remember her from 911. It's so difficult to remember her now. All right, so again, going on social media, so I see there was this Sabian 32-inch ride. What can you tell me about that?
So we went in to record the second record in June. A place called God City. Kurt Ballou from Converge owns and runs a recording studio up in Salem, Mass. Our friend Chris Johnson, if you get a chance, he now plays bass in Deaf Heaven, but he has a band back home called Summoner. Good friends of ours. They're awesome. So anyways, we went in to record the second record with Chris, and this cymbal was just laying around in the control room, and as we were tracking, I couldn't stop looking at it.
Right.
Of course, I'm like, in my head, I'm like, how can I find a way, to get this on the record? And there's, some cymbal washes and stuff that we do, and so I figured, it's worth a shot to ask. I'd give him the option to say no if it's a stupid idea, but he was like, oh, nobody's used that yet. And I was like, can we use it? He's like, yeah, sure. So set it up on a stand. After I'd already tracked my drums, and we had done some other stuff, and then we went back the last day in the morning. It was like one of the first things we did. And I just I just washed it a bunch of times, and then he,
what
stuck it somewhere.
What track is it on?
It's a good question.
I think it's going to end up on the intro to Visions from Beyond.
Right. That was the song we opened with tonight.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So yeah, it's just it's just in there as part of the cymbal wash and stuff. But
Right.
I mean, it's hopefully when everything's mastered, it'll sound pretty huge,
Yeah.
The best part was there was only one mallet in the studio, so he wrapped toilet paper around.
Yeah, we made toilet paper
to make
mallets.
another mallet.
Me and Chris were like in the bathroom, like, well, I need a tape, toilet paper.
I hope you got like a good Charmin or something.
Yeah,
like a
we did. It was a
ply.
double ply.
Yeah, that's the key.
Can't go single ply.
No, what are you, a savage?
Can't have elementary school toilet paper on
No,
there.
who would do that? That's disgusting. Ugh. So also, well, you know what? I want to go back to something else musically, but first, I saw online that you had a Hello Cleveland moment in Georgia at the Masquerade.
Yeah, geez.
Can you explain that?
So, tour last year, we got into Atlanta, and that place is it's an enormous complex. If you've ever been in downtown Atlanta, it's like they only have like 5 subway stops, but it's like, I don't even know what I would call it. For lack of a better terms, it's like an outdoor, indoor, like an arcade.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not an arcade, like stand-up arcade games, but
yeah,
a variety of storefronts. But it's a bunch of different clubs, and they're all owned by the same big company. So you load in through this door, and they have these, guys have carts and stuff for you, which is amazing. Normally we have to drag stuff down the hall by hand.
Sure.
So we load everything up onto carts, and we start to roll the cart, and we're just going further and further and further down the hall. And there's like an arrow.
There's like a quarter mile of
It was just like you take a left,
labyrinth.
take a right, and every time we come to we just look, and the hallway would be so long, we just start laughing. Like this is just we're never. It's like in Spinal Tap where they can't find the stage.
That's the best.
I think I gotta go left this time. And you just kept going and going and going, and we thought we would never get there. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, for anybody that hasn't seen, please watch Spinal Tap. Why are you wasting your time with anything else? Don't need to see anything else. Just watch that movie. Yeah. So, also, you know what? I'll go back to this. You're going to be on the, is it called a redux or a redo?
Redux.
Of Pink Floyd.
Correct.
And you're doing One of My Turns.
Correct.
Yes.
How did you come with that, or did the record company request that?
I honestly don't think we picked that song. I think everything else was taken, and they were like, "This one's open," or they gave us like a couple options, and that's the one we went with.
Mike from Magnetic Eye said, "Come up with 3 songs."
Okay.
And he was very, nice but upfront about it.
Mm-hmm.
If a bigger band wants to play that song, there's odds are you probably won't get it in the end.
Right.
So we picked 3 songs, and I don't think One of My Turns was any of those 3 songs. And basically, I think other bands had dibs on those songs that we wanted to play. So I think that ended up being like the 4th song. We just sort of powwowed and picked it. And I think I don't know, it's interesting. I think it suits us, and I think it's an odd song. It's not like a song that somebody would immediately think about when they think about The Wall.
Sure.
I'm personally super obsessed with it. I have been since I was a kid. So it's like a dream to play any of those songs.
Right.
But it came out really great. I'm super proud of it. I think we did an awesome job.
So when you first heard The Wall, what was your initial reaction to it?
It's hard to remember. I can tell you that my parents told me it was my favorite record when I was like 5 years old.
Right.
I literally grew up listening to it. It always just seemed so dramatic.
Yes.
And over the top as a kid, and I didn't know what any of the content was about.
Right.
It was just like, it was like theater, you know, it was like audio theater. And
Completely agree.
Yeah.
I remember hearing it for the first time. Well, of course, you know, you heard Another Brick in the Wall Part 2.
Sure.
And then, you know, you're like kind of looking as a kid and like, wow, man, this is like a double. This is like twice the money of a regular, but I'll save my money and I'll buy it. And I bought it, and I got to admit, it scared the shit out of me for like quite a bit. And then I think I was talking to my aunt or something, and she says, oh, this sounds depressing. And it was, what was it? Don't Leave Me Now?
Yeah,
Was that
yeah.
it? And she says,
Yep.
what the hell are you listening to?
Yep.
And I said, just wait till we
it's
get to
only
side
a little
2.
piece of the story.
Yeah, it's a little piece of the story, and wait
Yeah.
till we get to side 2.
That's
Hey-
okay. The rest of
Hey
the
You
band
comes
felt that
on.
way when Roger Waters wrote all that stuff. They didn't want to listen to it either.
Yeah.
So.
But you know, when the movie came out, you got the full idea, the full description.
I can still remember the first time I saw it. It was on MTV, like
Right.
late at night when I wasn't even supposed to be up, but my parents let me stay up, and I saw it. And I even think that was probably edited to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Even then, it was still like it completely like
Oh, it's
I wasn't the
mind-screw.
same. Yeah. And then of course, like you could go to the video store when you were way too young and rent it.
Yep.
So we rented it
Over
and
and
watched
over.
it, me and my friend, and it was like we couldn't believe what we saw. Yeah, and I must have watched it a million times since then. You know.
I love that movie, man. That's a fantastic one to buy.
It is.
If you don't get a chance, you got to get a chance to do it.
Yeah, so we're super excited about that comp, and it's gonna be I think it's supposed to be out in October this year.
I see them squeaking out singles, so I'm sure something's got to come out real soon.
Yep.
We finished our track last October, and I think most bands finished theirs like a couple of months ago. So,
Well, that's something to say about a work ethic, man.
well, you know, someone gives us a deadline, we're gonna do it. But you know, we also had like a short window to work with Chris. Chris Johnson also we did that song, and we did a Thin Lizzy cover as well for Glory or Death Records for their Thin Lizzy comp. So.
Yeah. I remember Electric Quest talking about that and putting that out. Yeah. What'd you do?
We did Johnny off Johnny the Fox.
Oh, wow.
It's not Johnny the Fox, it's the song Johnny, which is like, it's the first song on the record. So
And speaking of, so you have this EP out. I mean, we'll get into it, but was there a reason for its selection of each song?
yes. I think I did a demo of Julia Dream because I was just trying to come up with like interesting sideways views of a song because that song's pretty like minstrelly. If you listen to it, it's like psychedelic and minstrelly. I made it heavier, and then we kind of like pow out on stuff. We were doing Easy Living anyway. Like that was like a song we had in the set. And then we were like, we need a song like post 1980. And one of our favorite albums is The Oath, and so we picked Night Child off that, and that's probably my favorite song off that. But
Now, have you ever heard the Wasp cover of Easy Living?
yes, I have.
Fan? No?
Honestly, I think Blackie Lawless is one of the best rock and roll singers out there. But if I ever hear Blind in Texas again, I'm gonna lose my mind. You know, it's like.
Look, hey man, look, I'll take The Flame over Blind in Texas any day, or Shoot It from the Hip, or Wild Child, 95 Nasty, Love Machine. Oh, that's a good pull, my friend. I'll even take a solid, longer intro for Hellion. Just give me like twice the intro, 3 times the intro, and then boom. I remember I saw them, God, it was years and years ago, where there would be, Blackie would be behind, and then there would be Chris Holmes and, was it Randy Piper? Okay, so the 2 guitarists, and he's holding them by chains, you know, and then, you know, they just got the drum beat, and then bum, 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 and go right into it. Oh, what a killer fucking show, man.
I mean, well, their whole thing was like the joke is like that Blackie Lawless was like, you know, because he would set his like cod piece on fire and stuff. Yep. He's like, you know, if we wrote better songs, I wouldn't have to do this shit.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, and now it's like a big thing to have like colored vinyl. you know, and have the splatter vinyl and etc. I had because I couldn't find it anywhere. I had to buy it on mail order. The Animal Fuck Like a Beast, and I had to hide it. I had to put it up, you know, under my T-shirt so my mom wouldn't see. And she found it one day. She's like, "Is he have a saw blade through his that thing?" I'm like, "Yeah, I think he does, Mom." She's, "Why? What are you doing? What are you doing?" Yeah, it wasn't even like she wasn't angry. She's just like, "Come on, come on." Like
That's a good mom.
yeah, as a kid, like when
You know you let your parents down.
yeah,
Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing?
like okay, so you're all East Coast.
Yeah.
Did you grow up with a place called Caldor?
oh yeah.
Okay, so it's a retail outlet.
Sure.
Excuse me.
I don't think we had those in Maine. I mean, we might have had them, but we had like Zales.
Did you have Bradley's?
Yes, I had Bradley's. Same thing.
Yeah,
Same
we had
thing.
Bradley's in Caldor. in
So
Massachusetts.
this was back in the day when the cassettes were in the cardboard.
yeah.
So I had this. It was an AC. Yeah, the long box, and then the jewel case for the CDs.
Right.
And it was AC/DC. For those about to rock, we salute you. And they had a few. So I didn't see those songs. All I saw was it said "Up" as a song. "Up" was the song, and then it was like "Inject the Venom" and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And so my mom says, "This is great." And she says, okay. So, you know, I'm listening to it, and as a kid, you know, I'm going around the house like, let's get it up, you know. And,
Yeah.
And if I could have had a camera, the look on my mom's face was just priceless. Just that slow turn. What did you say? Yeah. And I told her, and she's like, "Do you know what that means?" I said, "Yeah, we're gonna have a good time. Yeah. We're having a party." Yeah. And she's like, yes. You're
right.
It's exactly what you're
exactly
doing.
right.
And it is a party in a sense.
That's funny. I had a different experience because early on in my house, it was really common to hear my dad just like blaring like Big Balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, just kind of throwing me around the house. I'm like, "Dad, Big Balls. What's this all about?" Just like they throw big parties. Just for big parties.
You're singing that. I think I was singing The Rocker or Problem Child. Yeah, those are the two that caught me. And Love at First Feel, of course. Yeah, how can you go wrong with that?
I think the questionable song that my dad used to play was Harry Nilson. Fuck you. You're breaking my heart. Tearing it apart, so fuck you.
Yeah,
Like, this song's awesome.
yeah, that used to be a part of, I think, like every Friday afternoon, 5 o'clock, get out of work. You know, they would play like "I Don't Want to Work." I want to bang on my drums all day and working for the weekend, and then they would play something like that and get you going in. I'm just going to change gears here, man. I talked to you earlier. Do you make your own merchandise?
Oh yeah.
How did you start? How does that come about?
Just get, you know, starts with a sketch and then show it to the band and say, you know, in some ways I'm a client and also I'm the artist. So
So you create the.
Yeah.
Oh wow, fantastic. So can people hit you up?
No.
For art?
Definitely no.
Okay.
It's a closed door.
You're keeping it.
No, it's just you know, if I mean, seldomly I'll get requests to do projects, and sometimes if I have time, I'll do them. But it's you know, I think we're all pretty busy with projects, so it's
Sure.
not enough time in the day. But
For you to when you make your own band merch, what does that actually do for the band? Does it
Well,
make anything easier for you?
it makes it very affordable.
Okay.
And you can do you know, if you end up ordering a batch of shirts through a custom, you know, whoever's going to print them, you have to order like a couple dozen.
Right.
Where if you're printing them yourself, you can print up 2.
Right.
So it's easy to have low runs.
It's just made to order.
Yeah.
Now, do you do for any other bands or just for yourself?
No, just for myself. I mean, we have other friends around Boston that do that.
Right,
And I refer them to our friends that do that.
That's cool, man. And you would suggest for other bands to do the same?
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's you need the space, you need the know-how, and
Right.
the machinery. But it's like I've slowly grabbed some things here and there.
You know, we're in a really fortunate position having played in a lot of other bands that don't have artists or graphic artists in them. Like they suffer for, you know, trying to find someone to help them create, the graphic visual part of the band, and we never had that problem. In fact, when we put the band together, we knew that Bob is a bass player and a vocalist, but he's also an artist, and so we were kind of very serious about, well, if there's a way that we can make the band an intersection of, that world that you exist in, the art world, with, if we can get that to coexist with the music side of things, which is, I was kind of, I was shocked to hear that, Bob kind of kept those two worlds separate up until this point, and so I wanted to see the band be an outlet for Bob to be able to do things artistically, and we've been in a really fortunate position that he really shines in that capacity, and he really wants to be the face of the band, and we're so lucky to have that. Like, it's really not lost on any of us that bands, if you don't have artists in the band, you're paying somebody else to get that work done for you, and you're just kind of just hoping that they're going to have the same vision that you want, whereas Bob is 25% of this band, and so his vision for the work that he makes automatically finds a home with whatever it is that we do. So I always want to point out that we're really super lucky to have a guy like Bob in the band, and plus John is also a graphic designer in his own right, and so we have these situations every now and again where Bob is inundated with all kinds of work, like he has to do the album liner notes and like all the layout and stuff like that, but we'll have shows coming up and John will step up and make a poster, so
next question,
yeah, so it's extraordinary how lucky we are just to have the amount of talent that we have in the band, and we can just source it between the four of us, and we don't have to count on anybody else to help move that along for us.
But it's kind of fun to have other people do artwork too. Like, we have one of Bob's old students did a T-shirt for us and a poster. Another one did a poster for us, and it's like,
yeah,
it's cool.
It's it's really cool that we have a great network that we can pull from.
Yeah.
Just to it's nice to have a fresh idea on what we're doing, to be able to.
And it's kind of just a great idea when you think about it, because the material that you're working on, and you can alter the art to coincide with the material instead of saying, okay, this is what I want. See, can you come up with it or not? Maybe, maybe not. You never know. And I saw also, and this sounds like a big thing to me, you got in Creative Quarterly for design.
Yep, for the album art for the Shadow Hymns record.
Really?
Yeah.
So what? Tell me about that. You must have been thrilled.
Yeah, man, it was cool. I had submitted a few things over the years and been in the magazine here and there.
Right.
So yeah. Well, what's funny about that is I had just made some mock-ups. Pretty much anything that I do, I'll make a mock-up.
Right.
And say, hey, what do you think? It's cool to just be able to hold something and look at it.
Sure.
So that I had photographed the mock-up of it and submitted that.
Sure.
And so I basically had submitted the design to Creative Quarterly, and then it turns out that the album, the vinyl we got ended up being colored. And
Okay.
So it's
You mentioned that. I saw that.
Yeah. So what's in the magazine doesn't represent the actual color of the vinyl. So.
Okay. Yeah, that must have been a major accomplishment. Oh, by the way, we're gonna take just a little break right now and go into a track by the band Worshipper. This is off of their release called Shadow Hymns. This is the last track called Black Corridor. I saw something, you posted something about Blizzard of Oz. This was a while ago, so yes, you did. Anybody got any favorite Blizzard of Oz tracks? Or maybe your favorite?
Oh, jeez. Well, probably I Don't Know, followed by, what's track 2 on that record?
Crazy Train.
Crazy Train. What's track 3 on that record? Yeah, Mr. No. No. Is it Suicide Solution? No.
Suicide's the last.
That's the last track on side 1. Yeah, I think you might be right.
Mr. Crowley opened up side 2. Well, that's how old I am. I'm doing
Wait,
side
you might.
twos.
Wow, how do we not remember this? Is it Revelation, Mother Earth?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and wait, is Steal Away the Night the last song?
Seal Away the Night. Yeah.
Last song on
Yeah.
the first side.
Yeah. No bone movies.
No Bone movies.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I was kind of
Yeah. No. Nobody likes No Bone movies. I don't know.
Now, if you have a choice, would you prefer Blizzard of Oz or Diary of a Madman?
I'll take this while Alex thinks about it. I only had, so growing up, I only had Blizzard of Oz
Right.
on tape.
Right.
And I loved that record. So when I finally got into Diary of a Madman, it's a great record. It's just like, it's a completely different universe than Blizzard of Oz. Like it sounds like it was recorded 10 years later.
Yep.
But
I think it was only recorded like 4 months later.
I know, that's the crazy thing.
Yeah. No, but I feel you.
I love Blizzard of Oz.
I think I agree. I think Blizzard of Oz is the superior record, only because it just feels like, it's got like a raw intensity. Like, I don't know. I've read a lot about the record. Like, I feel like you can hear the barn where it was written. And,
Right.
And I don't know. Diary of the Madman, production value, I don't think it's as good. There's something about Randy's tone on that record which is not
it's
as
crisp.
good.
It's so crisp.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's gangbusters, but
As a drummer, what did you think of the second record?
What do you mean?
Well, compared to the first one, I maybe I'm missing something, and you can tell me as a drummer. I felt like Blizzard of Oz was a little bit cleaner on the drums.
It's hard for me to answer that question, I guess.
Okay.
I think the drumming on both records is great.
Fair enough.
Is it 2 different drummers? We were talking about this today, weren't we?
We talked about it today. It's not Tommy Aldridge on the
Right.
record, so, but
yeah, so we were listening to the
Precursor.
tribute record in the van today.
Right.
So
Yeah.
so that record has mostly Tommy Aldridge on it, but there is a little Lee Kerslake on there, but he's not credited. I don't know. I think that's an interesting question about the drumming.
I love Uriah Heep, so.
Yeah, I mean we're all big Uriah Heep fans.
Well, you
so-
can tell because you did the cover.
Yeah, so Lee Kerslake can really do no wrong, but I don't know. I think the drumming on both of those records is fantastic. Like they still argue about who wrote that lick at the top of Over the Mountain, right?
Oh, really?
Like, Frankie Benali now says he
He did it.
Yeah,
The
he
intro,
wrote it.
right?
He wrote it on Facebook in capital letters, so it must be true. That guy's caps lock king, huh?
Did you see the Quiet Riot doc?
Yes, I did. Yes.
I thought that was pretty
I
good.
thought it was cool too. It's weird. It's like some of that stuff, like even like the Anvil movie. There's something kind of sad about it. So like I think like as a musician, like I feel kind of sad for guys
Right.
because I get uncomfortable. Maybe I don't know. I get like uncomfortable when I watch stuff that's like not Smokey and the Bandit or whatever. But the Frankie Benelli aspect of that is like it just seemed like he's trying so hard to like keep it together. And I mean, I follow him on Facebook and stuff. He has tons of drum sets, and
Sure.
I'm in like Ludwig collectors groups with him and stuff. And
Right.
he seems like a super nice, really nice guy.
Right.
But it's one of those things like where most dudes are gone or passed away or whatever, and I don't know.
It's just a weird thing.
You know what? For me, it's like in this stage in the game, like seeing all these movies, these like biopics of these like old bands that we were into when we were young.
Right.
It humanizes the people in those bands to a fault.
Sure.
Like Twitter and Facebook has also done this. Is like when I was a kid, in my wildest dreams, I wouldn't have any idea what Nikki Sixx had for lunch today.
Right.
Like to me, Nikki Sixx was like some god who lived like in a mountain, you know, and just like sacrificed virgins.
Woke up in a dumpster in L.A. and like an alley in L.A. every day.
There
Like,
was
he didn't
mystery.
even-
Right. So, like, you know, it's hard to see, you know, Frankie Banali, you know, as like a human being, you know, at, you know, some juncture in his career wrestling with, like, who Frankie Banali is. Like, I'm sorry. I mean, like, it's great that, you know, he goes through that, and we got a great entertaining movie about the whole thing. But,
Right.
like, personally, as a Quiet Riot fan, like,
Yeah,
Not so much?
Yeah, it feels weird.
I don't wanna know.
Kind of, you know, like.
I mean, the one I also saw the Twisted doc. I like that because
I like
it
that one too.
cut to a point, and then it was like, that's it. That's all we're gonna do. And I thought that was interesting.
It wasn't a sob
The
story.
whole point was to like shed light on the huge career they had before they got famous in like Long Island.
Yeah, the
New
Long
York.
Island scene,
So
right?
I mean, if you talk to anybody who grew up in that era, they're like, Twisted Sister was like the biggest thing
Yeah.
they'd ever. Them and Zebra.
I was gonna
Zebra
say,
was big too.
Zebra.
So
Didn't the guitarist go on to write jingles or something? I thought I mean I could be wrong, and I could be talking about. Yeah, I thought he was the guy that wrote NESTLES or something like that.
Oh wow!
I could be totally off base. I swear I heard it. Maybe it was a dream. I don't know.
You just said it, so now it's true.
Now it's out in the ether again. All right.
Say it on a podcast. It's true.
It's gotta be. It's just like the internet. The internet don't lie. All right. So you have the EP now. Would you mind if I went over the first album and you just give me maybe a sentence or two about it, what you think about it? Would that be easy? Easy peasy? How about High Above the Clouds? What can you tell me?
I think that was one of the first songs that we wrote together as a group.
Okay.
I think John came back with the bones of most of that song, and it kind of came out at a time when we were still kind of trying John out as a vocalist, like because originally when we put the band together, like we started vibing, the four of us, and just kind of jamming on instrumentals,
Right.
thinking that we would find a vocalist at some point, and
Okay.
and John just one day just volunteered himself up, and I know John could sing as a backup vocalist in his other bands, but he just took some of our material home some of our jams, and he came back with some vocal ideas, and I don't think any of us balked. We were just like, yep, that's it. It just makes
Perfect.
a lot more sense, and we don't have to deal with the fifth person. So yeah, I don't remember much about that song other than I think we put it together as a group.
I think so. I think what happened was I had like a pile of riffs that all went together, and I came in and I was like, here you go. Like, what can we do with this? And so we kind of shaped it into a song after, because I had like 6 riffs that all went together. But like,
That's right. Oh, I barely remember.
but
now.
then Jarvis was like, this riff is like, it's like, like you're like, on top of a mountain above the clouds. So I was like, oh, high above the clouds. Right. And so,
There you go. This guy's a genius.
right. Well, I was like, well, I like that. I like that turn of phrase. They're like, all right, I'll try and turn that. But then it turned into like some weird, like ghostly person looking down at you and guiding your decisions.
Right.
Not necessarily a deity. Could have been a ghost or whatever. I don't know.
You don't even have to explain it. I think you said enough. I had it. I love it. Step Behind.
That was actually one of the first songs that we wrote. That was Bob brought in a riff, and I think I was like, let's do it. Let's make a chorus, and then I brought it home and tried to make some vocals happen on it. And though that was like super early. Like it's we write songs so differently now. Like it's like we kind of like we're kind of throwing shit at the wall basically. And like we were like, it needs this part, or it needs a part like this and like that. And I think we're as we go on, we've kind of like learned to kind of write with these things in mind, like how we think a song should go or whatever. But it's kind of hard to describe the process. It was so long ago, but that was an early collaborative song that we did.
And you created the riff. Did that come from a specific inspiration, or just like out of nowhere?
I'll just hear a song in my head, and I'll just hammer it out until I think it's worth running it by anyone. So yeah, just pull it out of nowhere.
Okay. And Ghosts and Breath?
I think that was one of the first songs that was mostly written by John. Like John brought that completed to us.
Right.
I think, yeah, that was one of like his first fully fleshed out demos. And I remember when I first heard it, we shared like demos over the internet. And so that was one of the first times that he put out a demo that, you know, I took the trouble to learn. And then, like, it showed up at rehearsal. I was like, I like that demo. It was pretty cool. I learned it. So,
There you go.
And so I remember thinking, like, I think we were able to whip that together in one rehearsal.
Right.
It was one of the last songs that we wrote because we basically needed to finish the record.
Okay.
We had recorded the record in a couple of different spots, sort of in chunks over time. We got a free day of recording at Converse. They had a recording studio in Boston they built at their new home office.
Right.
It's called Rubber Tracks, and we were given a day to go in. We worked with Dave Minahan, who plays in The Replacements, and Boston legend Dave Minahan. And we went in and we banged that track out, and it's basically the last track for the first record.
Okay. Darkness?
Darkness was, yeah, that was
early track.
that was. I think that was like maybe the first one that we really worked on as a group.
Right.
The main riff, and then it just went through a real roller coaster of journeys. That it went in many different directions. But it was probably the first one we started with, and then it was probably the last one that was second to the last one that was finished.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's see what else we got. Place Beyond the Light.
Yeah, that was one of the first riffs I brought in to the band, I think, and I don't know. It's like, you know, a vampire love story.
Okay.
That's my. A lot of the early stuff is like trying to like anthropomorphize depression and anxiety and.
Powerful word.
Yeah.
Like an SAT word right there.
I don't even know if I used it properly, but I like making a character out of these feelings that I was carrying around. And,
Sure.
you know,
Okay.
that was the basis of pretty much the entire first record for me.
And let's see where we're at. Another Yesterday.
That was one of the. That was a riff that Alex and I were throwing back and forth. Like we had a stockpile of riffs, and he was like, "I want to work on this one," and I just wanted to flesh it out a little bit more, and I don't know. I think
I remember that one. I think when John and I first started talking about playing together, I think it was like back in 2013.
Yeah. It might have even been before the whole band was together.
Oh yeah, that was a very early riff. And so I think before Bob and Jarvis were part of the mix, John and I would share guitar riffs over SoundCloud. And the riff for Another Yesterday was one of the very first ones that he put up. And I remember, like, as soon as I heard it, like, it was instantly hooked me.
Right.
Yeah, and I knew that had to be a song. That song.
Cool.
It started as like my take on like Bringing On the Heartbreak or something. It was like a Def Leppard kind of riff. And then I turned it into like super psychedelic. I wanted to like turn it upside down and like throw chords in there that don't belong. And,
Right.
Make it your own.
Yeah.
Just like anything else. What about the Wolf song?
I wrote that on acoustic guitar, which is like, that always seems, I don't know why I don't do it more often, but like every time I do it, I'm like, it works. So, but yeah, I pushed that on those guys. Basically, I did an acoustic demo with like wind noises in the background, and we've been meaning to do an acoustic version of it because it was really cool. It was a cool demo, but you know, I don't know. Like Alex's solo on it's really cool at the end. It's like very emotive and
So many feelings.
So many
I have so many feelings.
yeah, it was one of the more emotional songs.
No, Wolf Song came at a really cool point where, like, when we first put the band together, we spent an inordinate amount of time just vibing it out, like collaborating, jamming, and like, you know, we were all in the room together. And we were getting some cool songs out of it. You know, Darkness came out of it. You know, High Above the Clouds came out of it. But we also wanted to encourage anyone, like if you're gonna write a song, like we like songs, like we don't have to sit there and like cram a bunch of riffs together and write
Right.
songs together. It's totally cool if somebody brings something that's completed and cool. And Wolf Song was, I think, the first time that John did that.
Cool.
And he brought it in as an acoustic demo, and like we still talk about doing the acoustic version. But
Do you think you'll ever start something on acoustic again, or
Yeah. So I did that for the new record, and actually I started writing it on my Wurlitzer electric piano, but I am like so bad at playing piano. I just said fuck it, and I picked up the acoustic guitar, and that's how it ended up. And I actually put it in the Dropbox, and I was like, dudes, I didn't even tell them. I was like, here's a song. I put it in there, and hoping somebody would listen to it. And then I just figured they'd be like, no fucking way, like, because it was just acoustic guitar and like Welcome to the Machine synthesizer over the top of it. And but we worked it up, and it sounds pretty cool. So.
was that one of the Floyd songs that you were thinking of?
Yeah, like that, and like the new Black Mountain record, like the Black Mountain 4, or like what's Wilderness Heart. Like I just love I love the synthesizers on this stuff. I've always been an analog synthesizer guy.
Right.
So
Oh no, I meant for the STB release. Were you thinking of doing?
no.
Okay.
That was for The Wall. So
Oh no, Magnetic Guy.
yeah. So now Welcome to the Machine would be a fucking awesome song.
Yeah.
That'd be-
No, so they have The Wall, and then they did a like an extra record because there was so many people wanted to be involved with it.
Right.
So now there's a Pink Floyd Greatest Hits like addendum attached to that
Oh,
record.
wow.
So if you buy the deluxe, you get like, gatefold double record wall plus another record with all like Greatest Hits Pink Floyd songs.
There's so
on it.
much to choose from.
I know. Like I said, like so many bands want to do those comps. I mean, Mike does an excellent job with those. Lining up the
You don't
band
happen to know?
stuff.
Did anybody pick Echoes?
I think maybe somebody did it on the.
I don't know.
Or maybe they shortened it down. I don't know.
I was gonna say that's a lot of space to take up, so I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think I would do if I were to pick it up, it would be Embryo.
Right.
Or, Embryo or Childhood's End. Those are like my two favorite.
Those are super deep
Great
cuts.
choices. Black Corridor?
That Bob wrote the whole thing. I just added literally one chord.
Anything you want to say about it?
John put in one chord.
Okay, there you go.
Black Corridor is
I was like, he brought it in. I was like, I love it. It just needs like one change, like one like left turn from, because I feel like a lot of stoner rock bands play the same fucking chord over and over and over and over again. So I was like, I want this band to not be like that. I want it to be a little bit more musically informed and throw in some different influences. So I added one note to the song.
That's it. One note.
I did the vocals, but Bob wrote the whole thing.
Okay, so I think we're going to wrap this up. I appreciate your time greatly. I just had a few other quick things. Sometimes I'll go around and check your shirts and stuff. So Haunt, pick a song that you like.
The new, I actually, I've been away from home, so I think the record came in the mail. But the new record, that Burst into Flame song, the title track of the new one, is great. But I liked Peacemaker as well, but the Haunt stuff just really got me instantly. So
Okay.
the Luminous Eyes EP is just great, front to back.
Clutch.
one of my favorite bands of all time.
Right.
Very polarizing band.
Yes.
Some people around here might not like them as much as I do.
Okay. Like, are you referring to the newer material or just?
No, I'm on an island with Clutch. That's
Okay.
all.
All right. Well, you're in Clutch Island. I understand.
But they're a very influential band on me personally. Not to get sappy about it, but you're on your musical journey. You start as a kid, listening to tough guy music, and
Sure.
Clutch was sort of in that vein.
In that vein, yeah.
You'd go to shows and people would be pummeling each other and stuff. And then as you get older, you soften up a little bit, and they sort of soften up at the same. It's basically every step I've sort of taken, they've taken with me.
Okay.
So
You have a favorite track?
favorite track of all time? That's tough.
Nah, give me a few that you really like. I know it's hard to pick one.
Wolfman's Coming Out from Earth Rocker is one of my favorites.
Okay.
Mr. Shiny Cadillacness from Beale Street is one of my favorites. Space grass.
Space grass.
Yeah, I mean, Space Grass is cool. I'm a big fan of the last 2 records that they put out. I think they're really great. Their new record that's coming out now, I heard a couple songs. I feel like this one might be kind of a dip down. They tend to put out 2 bangers and then kind of dip a tiny bit and then come back. But I mean, they're putting out records at such a pace now. It's unbelievable to see.
A lot of material.
Like these guys. To me, they're like such an example of what a band could be. Like, you know, we talked about like us making our own merch and things like that. These guys have like, they've never been on, like, I think they signed like one tiny little major label deal. Like they had one song that was like on rock and roll radio. It was on for like 2 minutes and it was over. Yeah. They've basically been self-made. Their friends and their family run their tour company. They employ a ton of people, and they make records on their, you know, on their own time, the way they want to do it.
Right.
They do, and like their fans are ravenous, which is it's amazing. Like
Yes, it is. Yes, they are.
I have so much respect for those guys.
So okay, with that soliloquy there, did he win anybody over? Anyone?
Yeah,
No.
these guys still hate Clutch.
All right.
It's fine.
Okay, we're moving forward.
There's some Clutch that I can into.
Okay. Now, Tank.
Tank, yeah.
I gotta admit, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with them.
New wave of British heavy metal band.
The from way back, like 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, I do know that. I didn't know if it was a newer band or not.
Yeah. My favorite song is probably War Drags Ever On. That's
Really?
a good tune. Yeah.
Okay.
There was a band from Boston called Wargasm.
Yeah. I know
That
Orgasm, yeah.
they worshipped the throne of Tank.
The throne of Tank.
Yeah, so they were always the deep throne of Tank. So they were always like, who is this band that one of our favorite bands is really into? So they kind of spread the wealth of Tank to a lot of the
Fantastic.
Boston bands. Yeah.
And I have 2 more questions, one for you, and then one other little thing here. You mentioned barbecue earlier.
Yeah.
Are you a barbecue man?
No, I
you just like eating it?
I like eating good barbecue.
So what is the secret for you for a good barbecue? Do you prefer something sweet? You like a little tang? You like a spice? What do you like? On your like, you like a dry rub?
Smoky.
Okay.
I don't like it overly brisket. I don't like it overly sweet or overly salty or over.
Yeah.
You know, I like. I want to be able to taste the meat, but also, you know, have some subtle flavors there.
Let the meat do the talking.
Yeah.
That's it. And
Yeah.
I'm so I had a hookup when I was living in Florida before I came here to get a green egg. I could kick myself in the ass every time. I'll get one out here, and now I see how much they really cost.
Yeah.
Oh God, it's unbelievable. It's way too much.
Yep.
Okay, so IPAs, or no, we were just talking craft beers. I apologize, not IPAs. Okay, well, do you have a favorite beer and or IPA?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'm very fortunate to live in Massachusetts. We have Treehouse Brewing, we have Trillium, and also we have Vermont next door, which has like amazing beers, and Maine, and I'm from Maine, so like
Sure.
I can't really pick a favorite, but
Okay.
I love Green by Treehouse. That's
Green
one of the
by
best.
Treehouse.
Yeah, it's one of those beers you have to like go to the brewery and wait in line for an hour to get it.
So I can't buy it at like Total Wine or
Hell
something?
no.
Okay, all right. Please say it one more time. It's the name of the beer is called
It's Green.
Green
by Treehouse.
by
But they-
Treehouse.
And they also like, so they just ramp. So when any brewery ramps up production,
Sure.
the quality kind of takes a dip, and so they ramped up to like way more brewing capacity.
Right.
And now they make one called Very Green, which is like a
Okay.
pumped up version of that, and
Okay.
that's actually my new favorite.
That's the new favorite.
But it used to be green, now it's Very Green.
Okay. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. But this is like New England IPAs. That's the style.
That's what you like.
That's what I like.
All right. Does anybody? Okay, so you're all in the same area. When somebody's going out on tour and they come up to you, your neck of the woods, what's a great spot to eat? I'm not talking high class. I'm just talking good food.
Oh, to eat?
Yeah.
I mean,
What would you recommend?
I don't even know. I mean, I go out to eat all the time.
Okay.
But also I moved to Salem, Massachusetts just recently, so
Okay.
I haven't really learned my way around there, but
Okay.
you know, like I lived in Davis Square in Somerville for a long time. Red Bones is great. Highland Kitchen. is
Highland
very cool.
Kitchen. Okay.
Deep
Bellum.
Ellum. My favorite restaurant is actually Alden and Harlow, which is in Harvard Square,
Okay.
and that's like fancy shit. Good
Hey.
cocktails.
If you got the scratch, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay. So you do? Well, you're
No, he
Sizzler-
likes fucking.
I'll go with Ponderosa.
What's the steakhouse?
Bonanza. Oh, Stockyard?
No.
Oh,
McCormick and Schmick?
McCormick and Schmick's?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Don't know. I have no idea. No idea.
It's in a castle.
Yeah, it's one of these high-end steak joints.
Hey, man, nothing better than a good steak.
You get like a cake like the size of your head.
Yeah.
It's really great.
Yeah, we like food.
Please, you're looking at me. Does it look like I don't like food? Okay, now, lastly, I try to remember this. Sometimes I forget. This time I actually wrote it down, and I remembered. While I'm about to say this, I want to ask this question, and then you have to think of a question to ask the next band that I interview. Could be anything. Doesn't matter. This question was asked by Cameron from the band Dead Country Gentlemen.
Okay.
And it was, if you were going to die right now, what is the last lyric that you would ever sing?
Sister Christian all the time. No, I'm just kidding.
Were you motoring when you were thinking about that?
I guess I got one. This is super morose, though. The end of side, we talk about the wall. The end of side one of the wall. Goodbye, cruel world.
Very good.
Yeah,
Good pull.
yeah. That's pretty fucking morose, but
Some dark shit right
but it's beautiful. It's a beautiful song, and it's very simple.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
brings closure, I suppose. Yeah,
Because you're going.
yeah.
You're going right now. Do you have one?
Got one, Bob?
No, you just did it.
It's from some Tank song, I believe.
More drags ever run.
Drink Scotch whiskey all night long and die behind the wheel.
Do any of you have any others? Do you have one or no? And do you have a question to ask the next band?
I want to ask like a logistical question.
Go ahead.
I don't know.
Go ahead. How about this? Okay, so you're a drummer.
Yeah.
Ask a question about drums.
Oh, that's boring though. I want to ask like.
Where's the clitoris?
Thank you. Okay, that's it. I think we got it. Does anybody have any other questions?
That's
I just wanted how loud is too loud?
How loud is too loud? And do you believe in domination through amplification?
I don't.
Okay. There you are.
I love being loud, but I like when you can hear what's going on.
Right.
Like when it's too loud, like too many bands are too loud.
There's something about going by, a stack of amps and your head literally shaking,
Yeah.
or your throat hurting from the sound of the bass drum or something.
I don't enjoy
Yeah.
At the next Clutch show,
There's times when it's great, like at a sleep show or whatever.
yeah, which I just saw them recently with Bellwitch. They just dominated. They were just fantastic. It was a
We
good show.
had tickets to the show, and we
were here.
We were out here, so we couldn't go to the show.
Oh, okay.
We had to give up our tickets. We were a little bummed out about it.
I've seen it before. That's fine.
Well, gentlemen, I sincerely appreciate you sticking around in the 149-degree weather. I know it is hot as hell out here, and you were so gracious with your time. Thank you so much. Thanks
you,
for letting
man.
me talk and rant and all this, and thanks for letting us all get it out.
Thank you, man.
Absolutely.
Peace. Safe travels.
You too, man.
I want to thank all of the members of Worshipper for hanging out with me. It was really late, and I knew they had to get on the road. They had to head, I believe, to California to drop off gear and then head back to Boston. Either way, they had a long journey ahead of them, and they were so gracious with their time, and I'm so very thankful. Thank you to all of them. Now, let's hear a track of something that just came out. This is the band Wytchgoat, and it's Wytchgoat, all one word. This is the latest track called Phantasm. doomtombpodcast.com. I just set it up. I'm hoping it works all right. I put a link up for some pictures, and I'm putting stuff up for podcasts. I'm building it as I go. Please be patient. I'm trying it out. I went this long without having a proper podcast or doing anything with it, so I'm trying to make it work and see if this is another avenue to get the podcast out. So, I got that going on. And also, something else is going to be happening in October. I'm not quite ready to announce it yet, but I will be putting it on social media as soon as I have all the details worked out. So until that time, the next time, the meantime, and the in-between time, enjoy yourselves, keep going to the shows, buy some band merch every once in a while, and don't forget to stay heavy.